There's always been one thing that's really bugged me in action movies. The fact people can outrun bullets. Not because I want the characters to die or anything like that, but because of how unrealistic it is, even within the world of these fictional movies. Because not every shooter is a stormtrooper, and not every hero's wearing pumped up kicks, so besides it looking really dumb on screen, I've always felt it hurts the story. Now, I'm well aware of the violence in movies debate, but even without getting political yet, an argument can be made artistically. There's no doubt some movies are violent just for the sake of being violent, and those would be bad movies. But there are other films that use violence as its themes. Take the movie I'm obligated to talk about when making a video like this, Pulp Fiction. Every film student has probably written about this movie, but it still stands as a good example. Just look at the guns in the film and how they reflect their owners, either being amateur criminals or professionals. Even within the film's storyline, regardless of how crazy you find Tarantino to be, there is that theme of redemption, and where the character who wants to turn away from this life of crime gets rewarded, while the one who stays in it gets punished. Several other movies use guns to show how they feel about their victims, to reflect their Wild West morals, to show class, to overcompensate, or of course, for friendship.
Say hello to my little friend!
I highly recommend this video by Jack's Movie Reviews, who goes way more in depth as to how guns represent the characters who own them, and it's super interesting, so I'll link it right here. But back to my main point about shootouts, it's choreography in film. If you've seen the Raid movies, if you've seen John Wick use a gun like a musketeer, you know there's a craft to portraying this type of action on screen and not just having it be a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So when dudes just go full point break and miss every shot, it's as ridiculous as those Power Ranger villains that just flail their arms in the background for no reason whatsoever. And I know that there are people out there who would just argue that, you know what, it's just a movie, relax. To those people, I would say, this is just a video. But for those who do care about action movies, you can see it as being a problem artistically. But when you go beyond just the artistic side of it, there comes about a debate where you end up spilling over into real life, and the accuracy of gun violence then becomes a whole other issue. Now, I'm not someone who's against someone's artistic expression, especially if that's the way they want to vent or tell a story, then do you. And I can only speak for myself when I say that when I watch Rambo, I don't want to be him. I like to think that I can differentiate between a movie world and the real world, and hopefully I would like to think that I can differentiate between what's right and wrong. But again, that's me. I was a person who saw 13 Reasons Why and fell asleep. Other people, however, saw the show and searched up how to actually commit suicide. And that's where things get tricky, because there have been several incidents and where the people who have done these jacked up stuff in real life leave notes saying what influenced them. And I'm not going to deny the studies that talk about similar things, but then comes the statistic of there being over 30 million copies sold of certain video games, millions of tickets sold to violent movies, and you wonder, considering that drastic percentage of the people viewing and the people committing these crimes, if it's the media to blame or the background of those certain individuals. I also am not oblivious to the fact that if one of my family members accounted for that number on the screen, I wouldn't give a damn about that statistic. Does that then add to the side of those who want to ban all violence in media in hopes of not instigating or influencing a troubled individual? Or would that limit the freedom of expression, considering, and let's be honest, different things trigger different people? And you don't know what that would be for certain people. Like I said, 13 Reasons Why was meant to prevent suicides from happening, to cause people to think differently about it, yet it was tied to the rise of online searches for it, and there were even several deaths which spawned because of it. So how far do you go in censoring something instead of focusing on that individual who can't distinguish right from wrong? So when it comes to guns in movies, I've stated the problem I feel there is with it artistically. And culturally, I feel that the responsibility comes down to both the producer and the consumer. Because when you think about it, alcohol was illegal at one point, and it was still here. Drugs are illegal, and they're still here. Some people aren't even aware that murder is actually illegal. It's just people do it because they don't care. Now, I'll repeat it again for the people who are watching, and I know will leave comments without really paying attention to what I'm trying to say, but for those who hate guns and don't want guns in any way, shape, or form, I'm with you. I understand that. For the people who do feel that they need it for protection, I'm with you too. That if you feel it's your right to protect your family, that's fine as well. But I'm sure we can all agree that there's a big difference between this and this. Of course, it would be great to live in a world where there are no guns, and hopefully that would make the world a better place. But What you're also asking for is a world where no one has the inclination of violence. I mean, even when there's dudes who can't buy guns, they take vehicles and have run people over. So yes, I wish weapons didn't have to exist in this world, but how do we change a person's mindset? Fixing laws is one step, and I'm all for that, but fixing people is another. Because the reality is that it's not guns that kill people, it's the person who pulls the trigger.
Guns don't kill people. I kill people with guns. How? Guns don't kill people. I kill people with guns. How? Hey, punk ass gangsters, what you looking?